Hi, Minesh Baxi here, and I have a fun guest with me. I have known her for a long time. Okay, she has a wonderful life, as you can sense, and she has been teaching, training people for a long time. She's a master in networking, and she's a master in sales, and she's going to tell you more about the evolution of that area as well. But please welcome Denise Roberts.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Appreciate being here.
Well, absolutely, my pleasure. You are obviously used to being in front of camera, talking to people, speaking in front of hundreds and thousands of people as well.
Yes.
You've been teaching sales. You had an office in Troy. I remember that.
Right.
And obviously, you and I met through a number of different ways and connected with it.
Through
as
a
well.
networking event, probably.
Most likely, that's what we do, right?
Right.
We were at some event as well.
Right.
So what do you want people to know before we talk about some of the things you're up to?
Well, I'd like to share a little bit about a course I taught
Okay.
for a long, long time was called The Art of Networking. And The Art of Networking was simply a fun, interactive, you might have been at one of them, I throw candy, people are having a great time. It's meant to help people who are good at networking get better.
Okay.
And people who are uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Makes sense.
Right? And it had 4 basic steps, and it was about how do I start a conversation, how do I deepen a conversation, how do I tell them what I do in a way that's compelling, where they want to know more, and then how do I politely exit and go find someone else, right, to talk to you. All right. So that's what the program was. I've
Right.
done it with many chambers, done it with the Troy Chamber numerous
Sure.
times. And what has happened, though, is now I've had kind of this epiphany.
Yes.
And it's about how do we've renamed it.
Yes.
And we're renaming it The Art of Connecting. And here's why. If you look at networking,
Yes.
good, bad, ugly, whatever you look at it, it is typically, what can I get?
Yes.
Can I get a lead?
Yes.
Can I get a meeting?
Correct.
Can I get an appointment?
Very true.
Right? So it's all kind of one-sided. It's not about what can I give, which is what connecting is about. So it's the flip side of the same coin, and in this case, I'm using the word connecting the way that Brene Brown, who's the author of Daring Greatly, explains connection. She said that when someone connects, they feel seen, heard, and valued without judgment.
So let's go back. So they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel valued
Without judgment.
without judgment.
That's the key,
Okay.
right? So, if we look at it from that way, because my intention now is given the environment we're in.
We are in.
Yeah, that's a better word for it. The environment we're in right now. There's
Correct.
a lot of dissension,
Correct.
polarization, right? You against me.
Yes.
All this sort of stuff.
Correct.
And I believe that if people actually connected with each other,
Yes.
that we could greatly reduce, if not absolutely eliminate, this that's going on right now. And let me tell you a story about how I
Absolutely.
see that. Okay, so I just came back from a life-changing, life-altering trip.
Wow.
I just came back from Jerusalem, and I cruised down the Nile.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was wonderful. And while I was there, everyone that knew I was going said, be safe. Now, I don't know about you, but there's not too many vacations I've ever gone on in my life where people were very concerned.
Yes.
Matter of fact, even the hosts of the companies, as we left, said, thank you. We know a lot of people probably told you not to come.
Correct.
You were crazy to come here. So I want to give you a concept of what happened in Jerusalem. So here we are in Jerusalem, and this is a city that means so much
Yes.
to 3 religions.
3 religions.
Who believe the same basic stuff, right? That
Yes.
there's one God,
Abraham. Yeah.
right? So there's Muslims, there's Christians, and there's Jews.
Yes.
And they are living in the old city. If you look at there's Jerusalem, and then there's the old city, which is the walled city. This is
Okay.
where the time of Christ,
Sure.
all that happened. All right, so there's 38,000 people that live inside that inner circle. There's like 900,000 outside. Right, but inside. And 75% of them are Muslims.
Wow.
Yeah. So
in that area, in the walled city.
in that one little walled city called Old Jerusalem, and they are coexisting very well together, right?
Yeah, and this is part of Israel.
Yes. This is Jerusalem inside of Israel, right?
Yes.
And so I am literally going to a tree lighting service for Christmas, right, across the street from the King David Hotel, which is where I'm staying. And there are Jews on one side of me, Christians on another side of me, Muslims standing behind me. We're all singing Christmas carols together, right? So all this about nobody's getting along and that you have to be careful. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks before we went, there was some bombings that happened in Tel Aviv, and everybody was all up in arms. But how people can get along because they know each other. When they know each other, they're not the mortal enemy, right?
They're not afraid of what the other person will do.
Right.
Because they're as human as they are.
Right. Now, let me take it one step further.
Yes.
So now, that was Jerusalem. That was the
Correct.
date, the land part of the trip. Then we got on a ship, and I'm with 60 people. We've been together for, about a week now. And I'm having dinner with some of the people, and we've become good friends. And as we're having dinner, conversation goes to politics, and my husband and I are conservative. The people at the table were liberal.
Sure.
And the woman stops and says, "Don't label me."
Yes.
And we went, "Okay." And she said, "These are the 3 things I believe in." And as she ticks them off, we believe in 2 of the 3, right?
Sure.
And she said, "I'm tired of being vilified by the right-wing press."
Yes.
And I said, "Isn't that interesting? We're tired of being vilified by the left-wing press."
Exactly.
And here we are sitting there and we're going, we have more in common than we don't.
Absolutely. Every day of the week.
Yeah. And so now I see this as this is part of this mission, which is if we can get people, and I'm going to bring it back now to work. How does this work in a work environment? So in what was the art of networking, now the art of connecting, there was judgment, right?
Yes.
Because if you're networking, I'm looking at you and you're looking at me. Do you meet my profile? Can you help me get ahead? If you can't, then let's shoot the wounded and keep going, right? I got to find there's a room of people to work here.
Correct.
Right? I don't have time for this. So we just move on.
Yes.
Versus, and that's judging, obviously. We
Very true. I agree.
We're a little nicer about that. Oh, I got to go over there and get a cup of coffee, or I'm going to have a drink.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
so-and-so's over there. Let me go
Let
say
me introduce
hi.
you to somebody and then walk away.
Yeah. Oh, if you're nice, you'll introduce them. If you're not nice, you just kind of leave them.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that is judgmental, and it's pitching and pushing, and that's why so many people don't like networking.
Well, they're very true.
Right? Yet, it's a step above cold calling is what I would call it, given that I taught sales training for years.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Especially
so-
walking in with nobody knowing.
Right. Yeah. Nobody knows me, and I got to ingratiate myself, and I got to say what I do in a way that's really tremendous, and, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
Right? Versus if I take, well, let me back up and ask, where's your focus, Minesh, when it's all about, do you meet my profile? Is it on me or is it on you?
Yeah. And me, totally.
It's totally on
me focused.
on me. Yeah, it's me focused. But if I go there with the intention of maybe I can help somebody today, right? And listening for them and what they're up to.
Yes.
And then saying, I think Sarah over here in the corner needs to meet you. Let me take you over and introduce you to Sarah.
Perfect.
Right? Or maybe we can do something together.
Yes.
That may be a possibility, but more likely than not, even on this trip with the 60 people I met,
Yes.
I'm sitting here and I'm finding out that this person worked for the U.S. Post Office and so did this person.
Yes.
I walk over and I say, you two should meet.
Yeah.
And then they start talking. And then I meet someone else that says they're from Salt Lake City and someone else is from Salt Lake City. I said,
Yes.
Did you meet Camille?
Yeah.
Right? And all of a sudden, it's just, it's a natural thing.
Natural bonding, rapport
Right.
building up.
And then on top of it, then we find out as we're learning about this, here's someone on this trip that knows they're selling a lot of gold jewelry on the ship, and someone else knows jewelry, and he's telling you, no, that's too much. I know a better price for that. But again, until you get to know someone, you don't
Very
know
true.
that. So if I bring it back to the work environment, like I started to go with, is that there are some people that'll say to me, yeah, but I got to produce results. I like your heart and your head, Denise, to get to know people, but come on, the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
Where's the beef, right?
Where's the beef?
Right? So I will, for those people, I just want to say this. I had a client that wanted the same thing and was after working their base of customers for more business. And I got them to say, let's stop pitching and pushing your customers, and let's start connecting with them and getting to know them. And that client did $13 million worth of additional business in 12 weeks.
Wow.
And that was just the pilot. Once they saw the results they could have, they had conversations with hundreds and thousands of their customers and generated $140 million more. And it's because the customer felt seen, heard,
And valued
and
without
valued
judgment.
without judgment, right? Instead of in the past, if the customer had said or if the client had said to them, Minesh, you don't have such and such a product. You should have that. And let me tell you why.
Yeah.
You start to feel judged. Who
Yeah.
are you? You don't know me. You don't know what's going on in my
Correct.
world, right? And it's the same thing. It just goes on. And so I would, based on that, I would say to people, especially with the holidays coming up, you're going to have people at your dinner tables that think different than you do,
Absolutely.
right? And I would say, instead of trying to convince them that their way is wrong or their way of thinking is wrong and yours is right, or instead of being righteous about your beliefs, what if you actually said, I want to understand. Tell me more why you feel that way, why you think that way. And again, not like setting them up for a pounce.
Yes.
Your data is wrong.
Yes.
I have the right information. But to really, and I did this when I first started The Art of Connecting, and I challenged a room of I was in, I told you I was conservative. I was in Ann Arbor in a room full of yeah, you know where this is going, right? Full of liberal
Do I
women.
not
and I just actually said to them, I ask you to try this out with someone. It could be someone that thinks different than you do politically. Could be an estranged family member.
Correct.
And then I asked them to email me back, and the results were pretty fabulous. Because when people said, I stopped judging, and all of a sudden there was an opening. So
Isn't it amazing? And I think that's very true that you're mentioning that. Because at the end of the day, we are built up with two things.
yeah,
Positive aspirations
Yeah.
and fears.
yes,
When you look at life in general, the way we are determined, now you call pain and pleasure, whatever you want to call that,
Right.
but we are determining our behavior, our ways of interacting are all based on certain positive aspirations we have in life, but we also have certain fears. And when we are able to openly dialogue about those open aspirations we have and fears we have, guess what happens?
yeah,
Other people have similar ones too.
yes. Well, yeah, I see this all the time with the people who are uncomfortable networking.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I started to notice I had more and more people showing up in my room who were introverted, right? And said, I can't do this because I'm introverted. And that's one of the first myths that we break in this, is that you don't have to be an extrovert. Actually, an introvert has a secret weapon
Called
that
listening.
an extrovert has. They listen more than they talk, right? And,
Yes, I know.
and because of that, they can be someone's new BFF, right?
Yes.
Because
Totally.
yeah, and when they get that, they don't have to be ta-da
Yes.
or on or brilliant. All they have to be is caring,
Yes.
and all of us can be that.
It's easy, right? Everybody can do that.
That's not difficult. But it's funny you mentioned about fear, and if we go to Maslow's
Hierarchical
hierarchy,
needs.
right? There's a piece in there about feeling safe, and
Yes.
right now a lot
Yeah.
of people don't feel safe.
Very good point.
and it's not safe like I'm going to be
Physical.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's emotional safety because you could trash me in social media tomorrow.
Which is very likely. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, public executions are over, except it's done every day in the media. And
I've seen this happen too often,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So how do people get hold of you? Because you've been giving such great message here. I'm sure there are some people watching, listening.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they're like, what does Denise do that I can use? Or maybe Denise has something that I can, maybe resources. Maybe they want to connect with you directly. How can they get hold of
perfect.
you?
Well, a couple ways. One, they can go to our website, which is salespartnerstroy.com, or they can call me,
Okay.
248-417-2108.
And like you mentioned, you do seminars, you do speaking, you take on clients, you have a lot of sales training background.
Right.
And anybody who is looking to get some of that, exposure to your services, they're welcome to contact your site or you directly and get more access to
Yeah.
it, obviously. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I just want people to, the last thing I do want to say is if we do want peace on earth and goodwill towards men, let's try the first step of it, which is to take on a conversation with someone that you disagree with, not from trying to prove your point, but from trying to understand them.
Exactly, and that's where it goes back to what I talked about. What are your aspirations
Yep.
and what are your fears?
Yep.
Do you feel safe enough, comfortable enough to share those with me? Because if you do, I think we'll have a good connecting experience.
That's perfect.
That's
That's
really
it.
how
You
I
got
see
to
it.
the heart of it. Yeah.
That's really how I see it as well. Denise, thanks a lot for coming.
My
Folks, thanks for
pleasure.
watching. You obviously know how to get hold of Denise now. And we look forward to seeing you again. And if you are watching this and you are somebody who has great information, great message to share, would love to be interviewed, please contact me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.